She sat up quickly, searching the room in the milky light. Nothing. There was no railing, because there was no cot and no baby. Another thump. It was the door. "Mrs. Georgiou, are you up?" A man's voice outside their bedsit, his London accent all colliding vowels. "It's the police!" Jimmy shuffled further down the bed and pulled the sheet over his head. Sighing, she swung her legs round and placed her feet on the cool, cracked lino. She tiptoed towards the door and turned the key, cursing the way it always stuck. She opened it a crack and recognized the face in the hallway. "Sorry, miss. Madam." It was the same young constable they'd sent last time. Roberts, Robinson, their names all sounded the same. He looked 20, if that. "Can you come?" "Now? I've been working late. Can't it wait?" A lock of hair fell into her eyes, and as she pushed it away, she felt her thin nightdress pull across her chest. She stood back a little, letting the door shield her. "Who's there?" called Jimmy. "PC Robertson," he said, trying to poke his head around the door. "Sorry for the disturbance, sir. We need your wife's services." Jimmy turned over and grunted an obscenity in Greek, something about the man's mother. It was always about the mothers, thought Eva. Of course, Robertson didn't understand. "Serious case," he continued, speaking past her into the room, as if Jimmy cared. "Need to get things straight, but the suspect doesn't speak a word." Then he looked at Eva. "You'll come? Sarge will have my guts for garters if I go back without you." Eva sighed. "Give me 5 minutes." She shut the door on him and went to the sink where she ran a trickle of water. Jimmy's plate was on the draining board, unwashed, a few beans still clinging to the edge. She'd started taking more shifts at the Café de Paris, and he'd had dinner alone again. She splashed some water over her eyes, patted her face dry, and wiped her hands down her hips. "You really going?" asked Jimmy. "You haven't been back long." She shrugged in the dark, but didn't say anything. She walked past him to get her clothes, and he reached out his hand to touch her leg, but she moved away. He sighed. "They've got you on a string, Evie." It was money, wasn't it? They'd agreed the plan months ago. Step 1, save up and move somewhere bigger. They'd made a start, but it wasn't nearly enough. Step 2, try to get pregnant again. Step 3, hold on to the baby. Tight this time. Last week she turned 29. She rummaged past her uniform and found the dress she'd been wearing earlier that day. Luckily, she hadn't bothered to rinse out her stockings when she'd returned from the cafe, so she pulled them on again and stepped into her shoes. Grabbing her bag from the chair, she turned to leave. "See you later," Jimmy said, half sitting up. "Before I go to the bakery?" "I'm not sure. It might take a while." He nodded. "Bye then." She started for the door, walked back, and leaned down to give him a quick kiss on the cheek, not waiting for him to return it. In the hallway, PC Robertson was leaning against the banister. "Careful," she said. "It's rickety." Nothing in this dump felt safe or sure. He stood back and looked down the stairwell. She had often wondered what that fall would feel like. She'd pictured surrendering to it last Christmas when things had unravelled. "I'm just out front," he said. "We'll be there in a jiffy." While the car lurched towards the station, Eva watched the empty Camden streets glide by. Before she'd lost the baby, she and Jimmy had loved walking at night, especially by the canal. If you knew where the trouble was and where it wasn't, you were safe on these streets. During their long walks, they would talk about their plans, what they hoped to squeeze from life. There was none of that now, of course. They still ate a meal together once a week in a cafe, but the conversation